What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I did want to talk about why I think everybody should give Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown a chance. Now, I'm sure people are going to come in and go, Block, what are you talking about, bro? Everybody's hyped up for it. And yes, that would be true because I do know a lot of people, including myself, can't wait for this game to come out. Luckily, the beta is coming up really quick, and that way we can actually test the game out on the console, which I still believe is an earlier build of it. But regardless, though, guys, I feel like a lot of players at this point in how gaming is are most likely going to look at Test Drive and go, oh man, it's just going to be another bad racing game, or in general, another bad game that's going to come out broken, have all kinds of issues and stuff like that. But you know what? Like, I have to be more optimistic on this stuff, man. We all do know right now that yes, a lot of games do obviously come out broken. Games do most likely come out when they're not finished. I mean, I could probably name a few games right off the bat that probably needed a bit more work. For instance, we had Need for Speed Unbound that probably needed more work. Motorfest obviously wasn't done. And when looking at something like that, though, you are probably going to have a sour taste in your mouth looking at games going, okay, you know what, those are terrible. So I'm going to have to be very scared for Test Drive because every game coming out nowadays is kind of broken, or at least, many of them are for that matter. Not all of them, but it does seem to be following a trend that many games are obviously coming out to where everybody's like, bruh, maybe 6 more months might have been a good idea. That way, the game isn't broken or the servers are not completely imploding themselves when the game comes out, which is obviously an issue. And on top of that, guys, let's be honest here, there's not that many racing games coming out at all right now. I would say next year we're probably going to get the next Forza and stuff like that. Then the year after that, we're then going to get the next Need for Speed game. So I would probably say a lot of people are looking for another racing game. So for me, though, I have to admit it, I am really excited for Test Drive Unlimited. And the reason why I did want to talk about this here is because I feel like a lot of players looked at the demo on the PC and they were like, bro, like the game is not that good, man. What are y'all talking about? The graphics are from the PS3, like people are not going to like it. The cars look terrible, and I have to admit this. We all do know right now that that demo was 100% earlier build of the game itself, and I'm going to put a bet on this right now that the new beta coming out for the consoles is also going to be an earlier build. I really do believe in this, that is not going to be the actual build. It's probably like a test build, and they most likely have the entire game finalized for the release of it, which is obviously coming out in around a month or so from now, or at least a little bit less than that if you get the, other editions of it. But either way, though, I really do feel like players have to give the game a chance. Don't get me wrong, guys, I do understand every new game when like a trailer is shown, they show some gameplay, everybody's like, this looks dope, but I am still going to be careful and also take everything with a grain of salt with how games obviously release nowadays. This is something I really can't blame players on because we obviously get games that are not finished, they're broken, they have some really weird microtransaction stuff and then that players don't like, and I'm actually going to touch on that in probably another video with Test Drive, because apparently the game doesn't have microtransactions besides the Solar Pass, but going to have to do a tad more research on that, and do let me know in the comments below if you guys have heard anything about that, by the way. But again, though, I just feel like we're obviously getting a new racing game in a new location. The car list so far looks pretty dang sweet, even though we don't have a full car list, which to be honest, I actually like that they're not telling us exactly which vehicles are in the game. Like, that's dope. And that can also raise like a small mystery type of thing to the game to where players might be like, okay, which dealership has this car? What cars are in that dealership? And I feel like that's actually a pretty cool way to do that. For me, though, I actually really wanted to make this video and talk about this because I feel like a lot of players are definitely on the more worried side for Test Drive. I mean, let's be honest, guys, it's really hard not to be at this point. And I have to say right now, though, like I'm probably being a tad too optimistic and most likely a tad too positive, but I really am excited for this game. And there is going to be a few reasons for this. I did actually talk about this a bit in the video a couple of days ago, going over the fact that yes, they are listening to the players. For example, guys, I'll mention this again, we actually had changes on the game from the demo. And the best part about this for me, though, is the fact that they actually fixed things based on what people were saying. This is something, guys, that most games legitimately do not have, bro. It is absolutely insane. But a few examples of this, though, for one of them is going to be the suspension. A lot of players were noticing in that PC demo that going over a curb or going over a speed bump was a bit wonky and also made some of the cars bounce way too much, and you can actually see footage of this being improved in that video from Alex7, which I will leave a link in the description with that video, which I would definitely recommend watching that one. But it was so dang cool to actually see something like this being improved from the demo itself, which we all do know once again many games obviously don't change from the demo or the betas, and the fact that they're already improving stuff is such a great sign. The other thing players were looking for is going to be the drifting physics. This was also going to be a lot better with the way the car spins around or goes around a corner, which I do know a lot of players weren't a big fan of in that demo. I'm actually really excited to see how they actually did this in the beta coming up. And also on top of that, the other thing I did want to mention though is the fact that we did have the playtest and all that back on the PC before, and we also had the demo. And the crazy part though, guys, we actually gave them our feedback and stuff, which is amazing because more games obviously need that. And they legit went in and they were like, okay, so the off-roading physics are a bit weird. People are not liking the way you drift and stuff like that. And boom, they actually did something about it, man. This I feel like should be a very positive note in the entire community. Everybody's going to look at this and go, okay, they actually listened. So that means if we find bugs or find issues when the game does come out, that means they are most likely going to be on top of it. And I'm probably going to guess that some people might go and argue and be like, nah, bro, they're not going to be listening. They don't care. But as of right now, from what we have seen with the demo and the playtest and stuff like that, that yes, they are definitely caring to know what the community thinks about their game and what actually needs to be fixed or like even improved. So that is obviously great. We can actually look at something like this and take a different step back in something else. Let's go take a look at another game, guys, for example, with Motorfest. There's a lot of bugs with the game right now. There's issues and stuff. People are obviously expressing the issues, whether it's going to be on X, on YouTube, Instagram, basically every social media platform that's possible to say something to them, and it does feel like things are legit taking forever to actually be fixed, or I do feel like things are not even going to be fixed anytime soon. This is what I'm going to say right now, guys. That is the biggest issue in gaming right now, I have to admit it. We need better communication from the developers to the players, and also vice versa. That way the developers are actually going to be aware of the issues that are going on, which again, guys, if you're interested in that video, I did post a couple of days ago going over this a bit more. I will leave a tag on the screen for that one. But even with a lot of players still being on the fence with Solar Crown, I have to admit this, guys, definitely give the game a chance. We all do know the open beta is coming out on August 27th to the 30th. I would definitely recommend downloading this on the next-gen consoles if you are wondering the game's not on last-gen, which at this point I would probably say isn't that shocking with most newer games going toward the next-gen consoles, even though there is still a ton of players on the last-gen, which I would say is kind of a loss there. But again, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Do you also agree that everybody should give Test Drive a big chance here to at least do great, and also see how the game does actually release, and also how the beta does end up doing coming up in the next day or so?